We wanted to know what was wrong with him, and we needed a diagnosis so we could move forward and treat him. He was a very, very unhappy, very sickly little boy, too afraid to eat, complaining that dinner would hurt him, subject to temper tantrums around meal times.
As a school nurse, I see them all the time in the mainstream environment. We're not actually treating their health needs. All we're doing, quote, is treating their behaviour. No, it's not good enough. Autistic children have specific medical conditions, and as far as I'm concerned, as a parent, I'm doing that because the health profession is not.
Somehow this picture would never leave my memory. Talking to the doctor in a smiling manner, as he's saying, well, he's not developing cognitively. He doesn't have language. He's behind over here. His social skills are impaired. His self-help skills are impaired. And I felt almost like something falling on my head. Boom, once, twice. He's not talking about my child, you know? Why did I miss that? Did I bring on autism? Did I do this to my child? There's got to be something, some medication, some surgery. And him saying, actually, there is none. You cannot tell me that there's nothing for my child.
I went to a neurologist, and he was very abrupt, and he said, she's autistic, she will be institutionalized, deal with it. But when I got home, I decided that that wasn't going to happen. I knew that the diagnosis that she got wasn't my child.
I've been investigating these children from a biological perspective with the idea that if we can discover what's going on with their biochemistry, with their immunology, with their brain functioning, we have a much better opportunity to help them.
In 1995, I was confronted with a situation where parents came to me, mothers reporting that their child had been developmentally normal and had, at some stage in the second or third year of life, regressed into autism. So with my colleagues, we decided to put the autism to one side and treat these children as we would treat any child with these gastrointestinal symptoms.
I think that this occasion is a turning point in the war against autism. What needs to be done now is research and no longer denial. And these parents of today, with the internet and the groups that they have formed to educate themselves, they are much better informed than most of the doctors. And they're taking matters into their own hands, and they're collecting money for research, targeted research aimed at bringing about recovery from autism insofar as that's possible, and the prevention of autism.
The classical definition of autism is a child who has trouble with language, trouble with social interaction, and trouble with behaviors, repetitive behaviors, rituals.
I didn't think about this very much until I saw my younger son begin to lose language after he had had totally normal development and began to lose his ability to even notice that any of his family members were in the room, and withdrew into what I recognized as being autism.
Because of my son's journey with autism, I've learned a lot about the disorder. I've been investigating these children from a biological perspective with the idea that if we can discover what's going on with their biochemistry, with their immunology, with their brain functioning, we have a much better opportunity to help them.
In 1995, I was confronted with a situation where parents came to me, mothers reporting that their child had been developmentally normal and had, at some stage in the second or third year of life, regressed into autism. I knew nothing about autism and asked how I might help them, and they said, my child also has bowel problems. They have terrible diarrhea, they have pain. Wherever you went, wherever you talked to, autism genes incurable. And that didn't describe in any way the kind of children that we were seeing. So with my colleagues, we decided to put the autism to one side and treat these children as we would treat any child with these gastrointestinal symptoms.
If you have a belief system about autism that it lives in the brain and it's genetic, then when a child comes in with all these problems, you won't see them. But if you have a belief system that it's in the body, then suddenly everything that's staring you in the face can actually make sense. You need to make a transition from seeing what you believe to believing what you see.
Certainly no one is trying to say that genetics is not important, but genetics influencing brain function is not the only area that we need to be looking at.
As long as the predominant thinking out there is that we're looking at a miswired brain, there is no urgency by that medical system to say we have to shift, we have to make a quick change, we need to think of this. If the powers that be decided that, wait a minute, this is a potential disease, the system will shift very radically, but that's not what's been heard out there.
I think the arguments have not been convincing enough, and I think that that's where the problem lies. It's not that the federal government is resisting change, it's that they have to be convinced of change.